Hey, idiot who's doing this podcast. Sounds like you're about to start saying some nerd stuff in tryhard, and that's not cool. So if you don't want to listen to this, leave the room or just don't listen to this podcast. Either that or don't complain about it like my damn science class in my first quad. Kids, remember to stay cool, stay in school, and smoke crack in the school bathrooms.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Literaria podcast. I'm your host, Arthur Tosaka, and here with me today is one of my close friends. As a guest, it's Donald Pan.
Hey guys.
Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Hey, it's always great to have you here. Unfortunately, with Corona being such a dangerous factor right now, we can't have more guests on the show with us. Not to say that Donald isn't enough, but we'd love to have multiple people to join a discussion about literary works that would take the world by storm. If you turned in last time, you would remember we mentioned in this episode we would be reviewing a famous play by Lorraine Hansberry, A Raisin in the Sun. The title comes from the poem Harlem, also known as A Dream Deferred by Langston Hughes. You might have seen it, might have read it. And the story talks about a black family's experiences in South Chicago as they attempt to improve their financial circumstances with an insurance payout following the death of the father of the family. The New York Drama's Critics Circle named it the best play of 1959, and in recent years, publications such as The Independent and Time Out have listed it among the best plays ever written. Today we will be doing some deep diving, if you will, into this masterpiece. We have a great discussion for you today. Ladies and gentlemen, analyzing the way Lorraine Hansberry wrote this play, this is Arthur on Author. So what are the key themes we will be discussing today?
Well, we will not only be going through the book in a chronological sense, we will also be talking about some of the key characters such as Mama and also symbolism, or reoccurring motifs such as dreams and racial discrimination. But with Mama, we will dive deeper into her impacts on the family and family as a theme as well.
Yeah, for the listeners who have little to no knowledge of Raisin in the Sun, it is a short play about an African-American family by the name of the Youngers. Walter is the protagonist of the play and he's married to Ruth. Together they have a child called Travis. And Walter also has a sister named Benitha. She attends college and is generally more educated than the rest of the family. They're the main characters, being the Youngers. And they help shape the story as it goes on. Like every other story, there are of course outside influences such as Joseph Assegai and George Murchison, referred to as just Assegai and George. They both try to court Benitha using their different viewpoints on African American culture and social standings. We also have Mr. Carl Linder, who is the only white person in the play. He plays a small but also very key role.
Actually, Arthur, I just want to clear up any confusion here, that even though Mama influences many decisions that are made by the family, Walter is actually still the protagonist here.
Yes, it's true. Thanks for pointing that out, actually. We don't want our listeners who haven't read this piece to be confused, of course. However, with Mama being such a large influence on the entire family, as you said before, we'll be first doing an analysis of her as a main key character.
Now, to start us off, I cannot stress the key theme of family enough. The Younger family struggle both socially and economically throughout the entirety of the show, with money being a massive factor. As we see right at the beginning of the play, on page 28, if you have the book you can follow along, Travis asks for 50 cents to bring to school as his teacher requested, and Ruth, his mother, replies by saying,
"Well, I ain't got 50 cents this morning."
Yeah, and when Travis presses on, she gets slightly irked by this, and replies,
"I don't care what the teachers say. I ain't got it. Hush up and just eat."
Now, this little bit shows us that Ruth is not annoyed at Travis because he's asking for money, but more likely irritated that she cannot even provide a simple 50 cents for Travis, showing the economical problems the family has currently. However, following the death of Walter, Benitha's father, and Mama's husband, the family received an insurance check of $10,000. With the family almost torn on how to spend this money, Mama still strongly believes in the importance of family as a whole and tries to teach this value to everyone else as she struggles to keep them together and functioning. She's religious, she's moral, and she's maternal. We learn throughout the play that her dream is able to move out of the ghetto, to buy a house with a backyard and in a better neighborhood in Chicago where her children can play and she can tend to a garden, while Walter wants to use his money to jumpstart his idea of starting a liquor store. Later on, we actually get to see that Mama uses a portion of the insurance check as a down payment for this house without telling Walter at all.
And we can see on page 91, Mama explains to the family that she has went out and she bought him a house. This leaves Walter extremely distressed and he starts questioning if Mama truly loves him and cares about him and his dreams. However, Mama can easily kind of push this aside and get to the root problems, which is more concerned with the entire family. Oh, something dropped over there. Well, sorry about that, guys. Mama seems to be really accustomed to suffering and enduring hardships, such as the death of a baby, and more recently, the death of her husband of many years. This also has a lot to do with her strong faith in God and deep religious convictions. At her lowest point in the entire play, let's say, Mama asks God to replenish her strength and give her the psychological and physical and physical fortitude to unite her family.
Yeah, overall, Mama is like a really nurturing and a really caring character. She's the scaffolding that holds everyone's like spirits up, the cement that keeps the family together, and structures the play around the theme of family as a whole. She cares deeply for Walter. We see this when he's given the rest of the insurance money.
Well, even though that kind of went to waste, but sorry, go on.
Yeah. Yes, but it still shows that that she cares for him, right? She also cares for Ruth, consoling her when Walter gets frustrated and leaves his family behind. Same for Benitha, respecting her choice to kind of give up on George, telling her not to waste time on such a, quote, fool. But her love can really be shown through Travis, her grandchild. And a huge part of her dream is to realize that they will have a backyard where Travis can play.
Do you know what this reminds me of? It's kind of like a little bit of a stretch, but you know what it reminds me of?
What?
A very famous movie by the name of The Godfather.
Ah, yes, I do know that. What a classic.
Yeah, it really is a classic, huh?
Yeah.
And I suggest people who haven't seen it to go watch it. Trigger warning for gunfights and bloodshed, though.
Yeah.
I basically want to connect this in the sense of family, because gangs, capos, and criminal networks are certainly not present in the Raisin in the Sun. They may be present in Chicago, but not in the play itself. As Michael says to Kay in The Godfather, I don't trust society to protect us, perfectly combining the two in a sense that family comes first. The society in The Godfather is the outsiders, the people who betrayed the clan and the other 4 crime families. Meanwhile, in Raisin in the Sun, the sense of society is portrayed by Mr. Lindner. For those who don't know, Mr. Lindner is the only white man in the play, as I stated before, and he arrives at the younger's place from the Clybourne Park Improvements Association, offering them a deal to reconsider moving into the neighborhood as the first African Americans to do so in the area. Basically kind of saying, hey, it's all white people here. You guys want to move in? Sure, but we're going to offer you this big amount of money because we don't want blacks in our neighborhood. And that's kind of a bad move there. While The Godfather has times where the lines between families are incredibly blurred between the crime family and the blood family, most of the characters we see in this play are blood related, and yet it seems almost ironic that the characters in Raisin in the Sun seem more split than the characters and the family members in The Godfather. The conflict that occurred between Walter and Mama and Walter and Ruth seem completely unfixable at times, with Mama even calling Walter on page 75 a disgrace to his father's memory. Keep in mind that they're all blood related, compared to Tom Hagen in The Godfather, treating Don Corleone as a fatherly figure, even though he holds an adopted status. As someone who's in the crime family and is a surrogate family, but not blood related at all, he certainly treats Don Vito like a genuine father to him.
Yeah, no, I totally, I'm on board with that. I'm surprised you actually came up with that connection. It's pretty good. I also have a point here, is that the actions that the family members do that seemingly are so separate from the family often have big impacts on the family itself, In the play, Walter uses all the money Mama gave him for his liquor store business instead of doing what he was told and giving a portion to Benitha for her education. That led to him losing all of the $6,500 given to him and extremely negatively impacting their family. In The Godfather, the actions from the crime family directly impact the blood family. Don Corleone tells Sollozzo, I cannot endanger them or their livelihoods out of greed. Here, Corleone attempts to shield the blood family from any potential fallout associated with his family business, even to the point of rejecting the potentially enormous profits that the business offers. The impact of one member's actions often affects the entire family way more than they realize.
Now, without saying family is a huge theme in A Raisin in the Sun, and with the wishes that the different families have, there's about to be some conflicts, right?
And we get to see that through all the family members, even though all the family members have their own dreams, not all of them get to see their dreams come to fruition at all.
Well, what happens to these dreams that don't come to fruition? What happens to a dream deferred?
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yes, for the people who are unaware, I was referencing Harlem by Langston Hughes, the poem that we talked about at the beginning here.
Also known as a dream deferred sometimes.
Yeah. The poem goes, what happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat? Or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load. Or does it explode? This helps bring us perfectly into the second main theme for today, which is the importance of dreams and symbolism in this play. Okay, Donald, go ahead.
Now, A Raisin in the Sun is essentially also about dreams, other than family, as the main characters struggle to deal with the oppressive circumstances that ruled their lives. Every member of the younger family has a separate individual dream. Benita wants to become a doctor, for example, and Walter wants to have money so that he can afford to buy things for his family. The younger struggle to attain these dreams throughout the play, and much of their happiness and also their depression is directly related to their attachment or failure to attain these dreams. By the end of the play, they learn that the dream of getting a house is the most important dream of all because it unites the entire family to kind of get on to this goal.
Now, Walter, to quote the poem, Walter festers like a sore, becoming increasingly unhinged as his individual dream is overshadowed by the yearning for collectivism. A manifestation is him driving around town, skipping work. Pages 77 to 79, Walter releases his inner sore ever so slightly and becomes more unhinged as the alcohol overtakes him.
We see here as he says, "You don't know all the things a man what got leisure can find to do in this city. What's this, Friday night? Well, Wednesday I borrowed Willie Harry's car and I went for a drive. Just me and myself, and I drove way past South Chicago, and I parked the car and I sat and looked at the steel mills all day long. I just sat in the car and looked at them big black chimneys for hours. Then I drove back and I went to the Green Hat. And Thursday I borrowed the car again and I got in and I pointed it the other way and I drove the other way for hours way up in Wisconsin, and I looked at the farms. I just drove and looked at the farms, and I drove back and I went to the Green Hat. And today I didn't get the car. Today I just walked all over the south side and I looked at the Negroes and I looked at me, and finally I just sat down to the curb at 39th South Parkway and I just sat there and watched the Negroes go by. And then I went to the Green Hat. Y'all sad, y'all depressed, and you all know where I'm going right now, on page 105. And there's also a point of saying that connecting kind of this dreams as using food as an example, which is something that Lorraine Hansberry does really well, is by saying, man say to his woman, I got me a dream. His woman say, eat your eggs. Man say, I gotta take hold of this here world, baby. And woman will say, eat your eggs and go to work. Man say, I gotta change my life. I'm choking to death, baby. And his woman say, your eggs is getting cold, on page 33 to 34. Being quiet and eating one's eggs represent an acceptance of the hardships that Walter has faced in life. And Walter believes that Ruth, who's making his eggs, keeps him from achieving his dream. And he urges that she should be more supportive of him so he can, quote unquote, run, right? The eggs she makes every day symbolize her kind of, her approach of supporting him. She provides him with nourishment, but always in the same way. Thus, Walter is kind of toxic to those around him because he thinks that they don't understand him and they aren't very supportive of his dreams. I mean, overall, dreams are really important, just in life, because they help inspire change. People dream of goals because they realize that the current state of things isn't good enough and it requires improvement, and this brings forth a need of change. Dream inspires change. Dreams inspires change. Say that 3 times. Well, changes in life help us move forward and become even better professionals and better people. And that's why even small variations, small changes in life can make us look at others and oneself completely differently and can bring us joy and life satisfaction. Although sometimes change can be dangerous and be a great risk. In the case of the youngers, they will have to deal with many problems when moving into an all-white neighborhood, but at least, as we discussed with the theme of family, they will do so together. Therefore, perfectly linking these two themes together. Don't you agree with that, Arthur?
Yeah. That's a really good way of linking family, the sense of family here, and also a sense of change and change in dreams, as you have brought forth right there. Now we're running out of time for this Arthur to author segment here, talking about dreams, change, family, many values that can truly be applied to the real world. What did you think of this? Call us at 289-356-6907, and that is 289-356-6907, or email us at literaturiaca@gmail.com. Literaturia is spelled LITERATURIACA@gmail.com to contribute to this as we do some more analysis later on.
We would love to hear what all of you think, because this play can be interpreted many different ways by different people along with these themes. We would love to hear some personal stories, or even you just talking about how you think about these characters, about Walter, about what would you do if you were in his shoes and you were given this large amount of money. What would you do? Would you try to protect the family, or would you try to dive in and succumb to your own ambition? not even succumb to your own ambition, but like try to live up to your dreams and see them come to real life. We would love to know that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last thing to say is that remember that this segment of our podcast is being sponsored, and today we actually have two different sponsors. We are sponsored the first one is Skillshare. Have you ever wanted to learn something new or to pursue a greater education, but oh my god forbid your brother has taken your money? Oh gosh, what would you do? Well, Skillshare is the perfect place for you. Skillshare is an online learning community with more than 1,900 classes in design, business, technology, medicine, and more. Skillshare gives you access to high quality classes taught by genuine experts working in their field. For an annual subscription, Skillshare is under $10 a month. And if you'd like to try it out first, we've got a deal with Literaria listeners. The first 1,000 people to use the link that we will provide on our website will get their 2 months of Skillshare for just 99 cents. Be sure to try it out using the link in the description and learn something new today. Donald, would you like to read out the second sponsor?
Yeah, sure. Our second sponsor for today is Honey. If you're ever in Mama's position and you want to buy a house, or Walter's where you want to buy a liquor store, use Honey. Hey, I'm not really sure this applies to Honey, because I'm not sure if Honey can help you buy a house. Well, Honey is a free browser extension where just from one click, it can help you save money by searching through the internet for any online coupons that you can use for your purchases in places such as I'm sorry, I don't go online shopping. I usually go in-person shopping. I should probably start online shopping now because of Corona, but it helps you save a lot of money. It helps you save $2, $3 every single time. You add that up every single time you buy something, and all of a sudden, boom, you have enough money to buy a house. Totally. So people are totally going to save up money to buy their house.
Hey,
Arthur,
man.
Why did you write this?
Hey man, you wanna not read this like you're reading a script? It's a podcast, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got it. But anyways, yes, Honey is a great browser extension. You can get it from the Chrome web store, and it can help you save money when you're doing online purchases. And you can also use those credits to kind of buy something of your own from the website with their credits later on as well.
Yeah, and that wraps it up for our segment for today. This has been Author Tosaka and Donald Pan, and this has been Arthur to Authors. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll come right back with a bunch of other segments and with a lot of things to talk about on today's Literaria podcast. Don's going to stay with us. We'll be right back. This is a small commercial break. See you then.